Okay, we're at $7,590. Let's keep those donations rolling in. I know it's getting late and you all are tired, but if you're still not that late on the West Coast, so if you're with us, please consider giving a donation. Every dollar counts. You can donate online by call at weavespendie.org, or you can call us at 678-730-0010. You can even mail a check and we'll attribute it to it later. But just a reminder, we have some people who have donated and have challenged you, just like Jenny did. So if you donate today, you're going to get a coupon code to save 10% with Mosquitoes and Acres. So you have to donate between today to get that coupon code. But also, I want to share with you some words we've received from some of your donations. This one was great. Thank you. You've given so much, including a marvelous way to spend my birthday today. More donations and recognition of my fellow New York Guild members in their Fiber-A-Thon presentations. Love the presentations. Thank you for recording. I missed some. So remember, you can donate. Please give. We appreciate your generosity. It's just been wonderful to be here with all of you for the last 10 hours. So it's time to move on to our next presentation. And at this time, I'd like to invite Martha Owen to join us. She's going to give a presentation on, let me see here. Well, first of all, step on our Pam Baker Howard, who we were so sorry to hear when she passed away. I know she's touched a lot of people's lives. And Martha, I'm going to let you take it from here. Thank you for being with us.
All right, then. I'm not, I've looked all over my computer, and amazingly enough, I do not have a picture of Pam, but you can ask Facebook and see what she used to do there. You can ask for her name. Pam is somebody that used to work for the Hand Weavers Guild of America down in Atlanta, and I met Pam through, I'm not sure how I met her. It was, I just knew she was working with the Hand Weavers Guild. And then she ended up coming up to my part of the world, which is actually in Brasstown. We both worked for the John C. Campbell Folk School, and she stopped working there about 3 years ago, something like that, and had shifted all her attentions up to Colonial Williamsburg. So I wanted to talk about Pam in connection with how HGA has helped us all connect with each other. Because what we are part of is a living tradition if we keep on living, right? And so Pam is still living in that she taught many, many folks how to weave, surely, but she's also super interested in so many things. And that's kind of where we intersected, in that she did a lot of dyeing, and she liked to spin. And she took knitting classes with me way early on. And mostly what she said after she took knitting design was, well, I really like weaving. And so what I have, if I can figure out how to share them, is I have pictures coming from the John C. Campbell Folk School. Pam and I worked there together for many years, and she was over the weaving program, and I'm over spinning, knitting, felt making, and dyeing. And we worked together to find teachers and to talk about what to do. We also went to convergence here, there, and everywhere. Our biggest one was our nearest one, which was in Atlanta. And we had a whale of a time in Atlanta. But we also went to Vancouver and Cincinnati, and she went to Wichita. She was just there at the last convergence. And we also had a store together, which I was in for 11 years, but she was my partner for 5 years. And yeah, she thought it was a great idea. So I just wanted to talk about her because we think about her a lot, even though we don't have her anymore. So I'm going to go over to this share thing and see if I can find the pictures that I was hoping to find. And if I can't find them, then we will just let me keep talking. And if you know me at all, we all know that I can talk a lot. So I'm trying to figure out how to make this picture big. I know how to do it normally. Can somebody tell me if you can see this picture?
We see the picture. I think somebody said earlier use Control F or something F.
Oh gosh, I'm not advanced on
I don't
that.
use Apple products.
Usually I go up to this corner here and it says bigger. Well, so
Command plus F for full screen. Command plus F.
Command plus F. No, didn't want to. All right. Well, gosh. We're just going to proceed. You just narrow your eyes and pretend like you can see everything. What I wanted to show was a picture of the good old days. This shows us how important the Hand Weavers Guild of America is, and us at the John C. Campbell Folk School. I work at the folk school because these are living traditions that are about lost. And the question is, where can we learn how to do these things? And so I'm not sure why I have that form right there. Gosh, it was going to be great, right? I got them all lined up to show you. Anyway, we're just going to keep on going because we only have a few minutes. So this is showing you your friend helping you with warping your loom. We can tell kind of the time period because she hasn't cut her hair. It's all tied up on top of her head. She's wearing a corset and long skirts that go way down to the ground. I teach people how to spin on high wheels pretty commonly, and these threads would have been spun on high wheels, and they're on corn cobs, and there's her warping board. So this is before times. This is before 1900, I would say, and it looks like I got the picture in Berea, Kentucky. So that's showing you what was going on in Kentucky. And I think it was probably pretty similar to what was going on in Western North Carolina, East Tennessee, North Georgia, all these places. Our setups were not what we have now. We had to make everything. No, so it's not going to give me another picture. All right. So this is going great. Let's try this picture. Here's another oldie goldie. Let's see if I can just move the picture more to the center. This one I found at an antique store in downtown Murphy. Brasstown, North Carolina is 6 miles from Murphy, North Carolina. And I teach people how to spin on a high wheel. I think I said that already. And I walked into this antique store that ended up learning my name because every time there was spinning equipment in the window or tied to the ceiling or for sale, somehow I would walk in and I saw this old spinning wheel. And I went in and I said, say, tell me about that spinning wheel. And would you sell me that picture? And I was just getting ready to do a session on spinning on the high wheel. And they said, oh, I'm sure they will sell you that picture. Well, it turned out that they would only sell me the picture if I would buy the high wheel as well. The spindle point was missing. The wood felt like cardboard, that kind of thing. So I did not, in fact, want to buy the spinning wheel. But while they were off calling on the phone, me with my smartphone took a picture. And this young woman is spinning from, we just again have to look at her costume. So her skirts are a little shorter because we can see her feet. She's got money because she's wearing shoes. And her carded rolls might have come from a mill because they're long and skinny, but I'm ready to believe that maybe she spun them herself. Gosh, I was so ready. So I'm showing you pictures from the John C. Campbell Folk School, and I'm sorry I can't advance them. One of the things that I wanted to talk about in addition was some of the ways that things changed from, I call it now, the before times. Before times means when everybody was making do with what they had and what they grew. So I raise sheep and I know all about making do and making things from the animals that are living right here on my place. But this piece here is in the early days of trying to create economy for local people. And this was designed by Granny Donaldson. The background is hand woven, dyed with indigo, and the figures are all crocheted. They're all hand spun. Granny Donaldson was something like 95 years old, and she worked at the John C. Campbell Folk School. And a man named Alan Eaton, who was very involved with the revival of craft, actually across the whole country, but specifically at that time in the Southern Mountains, brought something called an Italian cow blanket, which was a blanket that was highly decorated that you put on your cow when they were going, I think, down instead of up from the Alps. And he just brought these pieces to the folk school campus, which at that point was quite young, and said, anybody like these? And Granny Donaldson said, oh, I could make one like that. And so somebody found her some hand-woven fabric. It was extremely common at that time. So it would have been like 1920 or 30 when pieces of fabric were still available. And then she did these decorations and is well known now as somebody who made many of these kind of tree of life constructions. But my point is that where do we learn these things? And if we want to revive them now, where do we learn them? And that's where the Hand Weavers Guild of America is extremely important. That's where the John C. Campbell Folk School is extremely important. In my own family, they did not continue this kind of work, even though I am from Western North Carolina. I'm from 6 miles from the John C. Campbell Folk School. Oh, I had to include a picture of Convergence. This was in Knoxville. We went a few years ago, and Pam was with us at that point. I think that's Allie Dudley sitting there. And Allie Dudley is what are they called now? We were always resident artists forever, but Allie is called a studio coordinator, and she's over the weaving program. She took up where Pam left off. Oh, look, it's going to advance now. What I learned in talking to HGA before and Kathy Group, and I don't even know who, I've talked to a lot of people through Zoom, was that the weavers in the crowd want to see what the studio looks like at the John C. Campbell Folk School. So the thing that's unusual and interesting about coming to the school is that you're going to have a dedicated studio. And a lot of places do not have dedicated studios.
Martha, I apologize. We hit time.
Time's up. The other thing is you can take all different kinds of classes. Okay, that's enough.
Well, thank you so much for taking some time to share with us,
Yep.
especially to memorialize such a wonderful artist. I know a lot of people were touched by Pam, so thank you for that.
Okay.
All right, well, next up is our next presenter, Lou Morgan. Lou, I think you've been with us all day. I keep seeing your name here, so thank you for that. Why don't you go ahead and turn on your camera and unmute? You're going to talk with us about rag rugs, features, and ideas.
Yes. Do I sound okay?
We hear you and we see you.
Great. Well, yes. More than rag rugs is what I wanted to share with everyone. I am a rag rug weaver, and I love making them because my 3 previous generations of my family were rag rug weavers. It's a great way to upcycle old clothes, reuse old worn out household goods like curtains, towels, bed sheets. And this talk, though, was born out of the idea that many of us now don't want throw rugs underfoot to trip on. Even my doctor has suggested removing throw rugs for us older folks. So there's challenges there. So here are some features and ideas that are beyond the rag rug on the floor. So I'm still talking about weaving the same weight of rag rug. Sort of cloth strips or rag rug weaving is still a good idea. And it's very important now to reduce, reuse, recycle. So here are some features of rag rugs to consider. It's a very simple threading. It's plain weave in most cases, especially the way I do it. So 2 harnesses is all that you need. You can do rag rug weaving on a frame loom or a rigid heddle loom. One of the important things, especially for my family of weavers, is that it's great on the budget. My ancestors that were weavers were also of the Mennonite tradition, and they're a very frugal group. And weaving rag rugs is a very inexpensive weft. Strips of cloth, they can come from the thrift store, they can come from past sewing projects, obviously old clothes, even the free box at garage sales. So there is the reason it is called rag weaving. Historically, our ancestors wove rags and other discards into various functional textiles, mostly rugs. My grandparents and my parents, it was a second income. And then it was also a hobby for my dad. Grandpa would even weave custom rag rugs. What are custom rag rugs? Think of groups of church ladies back in the 60s and the 70s. Probably all winter long, they would be making balls, carpet rag balls from cloth discards. They would bring them to my grandfather for weaving, and hopefully they would ask for them back in time for their fall church bazaars. So you can see the cycle that happens there. So great for the budget and great for projects like that. They were doing recycling and upcycling before it was cool. With that, and what we hear about textile waste now in the world, how it's growing around the world, we could all do our part to reuse fabrics in weaving. So think globally, act locally can apply here. And anybody with almost any type of loom can do rag rug weaving. So it's a reason I wanted to present just some other ideas for promoting weaving with strips of cloth. There's also that Japanese weaving technique, sekiori. I believe that's how you say it. It's weaving with strips of cloth, a lot like what our American pioneer ancestors have done with rag rugs. I believe our American tradition is a heavier project when you're done, and sekiori tends to be thinner strips, like using silks and scarves and saris, and then reweaving that into a lighter weight cloth. But when you think about the broad definition of each of these, they're the same technique, at least as far as I've seen it. So with these features in mind, I have some project ideas to show you. So making a bath mat from old towels. This one is fresh off the loom today, and it is made with white terry cloth towels, blue terry cloth towels. The second blue is a chenille bedspread. Oops, pardon me. And then there's a corduroy in this stripe. It's about 20 inches long. And it feels great on the feet as you're stepping out of the shower or the bathtub. So there's an idea that's not the sort of the standard throw rug. Another idea is the heavy duty tote bag, like this one back here. This is essentially a rag rug folded in half, stitched up the sides, on this, on the regular hem, only stitched together here. And then put a handle on it. These are actually integrated handles, but the concept of a nice stiff rag rug fabric for a tote bag is very durable. So another idea is to put one of your rag rug weavings on the wall. You might want to have a more designed rug to hang it up as a piece of art. But this one over here is an older rug, and it's the only one I have that my dad wove. So I have it hanging in my house. And a few years ago, during an art hop type event, I had an exhibit, and here's a picture of a bakery cafe with a couple of my rugs hanging on their walls. Pardon. And one way to do that is to add a slender piece of wood to the back top. For example, this is a rag rug with a very slender piece of wood, a bunch of holes, and tied it, stitched it by hand with fish line to the top edge of the rug. Then this part was hung on the wall with another piece of fish line like this. There we go. And what was amazing about doing the exhibit a few years ago at the bakery cafe was we hung about 20 rugs on the walls. The acoustics changed in the room. The textiles on the wall can really make it a very pleasant acoustic feeling in a space. Another idea is a short woven mat of plastic grocery bags. Now, that certainly is one of our modern materials that can be used. Here is white plastic grocery bags. Again, this just came off the loom. Can you tell I was working the last minute on this? I left some tufts of the plastic bag sticking out. It ends up feeling a lot like a straw mat. You can even hear some of the crackle of the straw. This one's going to be a countertop mat for me. It does some unique things to the warp threads. It bunches them together a little bit more than you usually like, because this is part of that same piece and the pattern changes. But the plastic grocery bags are cut down the sides. From the handles, you cut them apart at the top, you cut them down the sides, and then they're twice as long as they were when they were the original bag. Then you have the handles sticking out on each end, and you use that space for overlapping as you put it in as weft. Another way to make something more than a rag rug throw rug. Wanted to share that my daughter has one of those plastic grocery bag mats, and she loves to use it by her litter box. I've even seen a vest made of lightweight woven strips of cloth. This was at Convergence in Knoxville in one of the exhibits. It was a beautiful kind of white and light pink, and couldn't find my photo of that, but a vest seems like a very natural piece of clothing to use rag rug fabric for, and you can use bias tape for the here's a picture I found of a rag rug vest. Use bias or double wide bias tape for where you have raw edges. That's going to be one of my next projects, I hope. And of course, placemats and table runners, those are more of a common idea, but still a fun project. These are examples of placemats, and they make fun gifts too. At a Tom Kinsley workshop, a project was being talked about where you'd take 2 or 3 old silk neck scarves, cut them into strips, and weave them into a new scarf. That I believe is a good example of a Sakiori style project for weaving cloth strips. A wall vase. No, there's a very different. Am I out of time?
Are.
I am. Oh my goodness. Okay. I will put up, oh, I did put up my Instagram address, and my next project might be window shades out of rag rugs. Thank you
Great.
for the time, and I love how HGA can bring people together and give inspiration. Thank you.
Thank you for being here today, Lou. We appreciate you for being being one of our presenters. All right, well, we're moving right along. It's time to bring on Mandy Drumming, our program coordinator. And Mandy's going to talk with us about how HGA stages an exhibit for Convergence. And just a little background, Mandy actually used to be the exhibit coordinator for the Aiken Center for the Arts in South Carolina. That's how we met, because I was the executive director there. And we had, how many, 6 galleries? 6. Yeah, you're muted, Mandy. We had 6 galleries. So she had to, and the exhibits rotated every 4 to 8 weeks. So she had some experience. So Mandy, I'm going to let you talk about Convergence and what it was like to stage that. I had tried to find that video we made of going through your little setup, but I think it got deleted from Dropbox somehow. So I'm sure you have something ready for us.
Yes. Yeah, have I shared my screen?
Not yet.
All right. I have. Okay, great. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the introduction. This is just a very brief overview of kind of what and I'm going to focus on Convergence exhibits. Just the design, installation, and de-installation of the 5 exhibits we offer at Convergence. All right. So really, the first thing we start with are the artworks that are juried into the exhibit. We usually create a PowerPoint of each object on each slide. And then to create what we're going to, I like to create a model of what the exhibit's going to be. So the first step is we usually print out 4 artworks per one sheet of paper, I would say. And then once we have that, we cut them out and we start to arrange them. And we range them we look at color, texture, size, material, style, the components of the artwork, and we try to create some type of composition for that one exhibit that will be a whole 5 exhibits together. Because an exhibit really it's a total work of art. Of all elements part of exhibit, the artworks themselves, and then also the environment in which the artworks are going into. So for Wichita, we were in a very modern building, and so you have to look at the elements that the artworks would be going into. So there's concrete, glass, smooth surfaces. That's kind of the basic architecture, and it's also was the architectural interior architectural details. Again, concrete, glass, a lot of linear lines. You really want to, which is actually very nice for exhibit, because it kind of creates this kind of blank, clean canvas, because you really want the artworks to stand out from anything other visual information. And then we get a map of the space. This was kind of the map, and then we start kind of dividing up the space with panels. We also look at lighting. Where is the natural light going to be in that space? And there's all these windows over on this side over here. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not. And so really wanted to make sure we didn't have walls of panels, because we wanted the light to flood in as much artworks as possible. So we kind of created staggered so the light could come in and just help with illuminating the works as best as we could. So then we create the model, and the model is created using these are pages here. Model is created using foam core. We use a grid white foam core on the bottom, and then black foam core super glue and pins. So this is kind of the final model. We had already arranged things again based on those elements I said earlier. But we do this mostly for our wonderful volunteers that are going to be helping us, and just to give them that clear image of where things are going to go. So this is kind of, you can see over here are this is the yardage exhibit. We actually, we group things based on what exhibit goes where. And we try to kind of do that in certain ways. Here's like the basketry exhibit. We had our leaders, interns here, mixed media, and then our largest exhibit is usually our wearable art exhibit. But here's the yardage here, here's the basketry, and you can kind of get an idea. Here's this panel here, and you see it over here. So when you're doing an exhibit, just things to try to remember is, again, you want the labels all on one side. So you want to kind of be as organized with the exhibit itself, because you want no other real visual information. You want the artwork to be what is the eye is it taking in. So so we try to, all the labels we like to be on one side so they're not distracting. We try to create a line, a plane, like every center of the artwork should be about 48 inches from the ground. And that just creates kind of a even flow. And then also usually you want a small and then a larger and then a small and larger. So there is kind of a rhythm to it. And then we also kind of group them. We just kind of make groupings, just to kind of makes a little bit of sense for the viewer overall, how the works are going to be experienced. Here we use freestanding a hanging system. And this worked in a couple ways. One, it lets you see the front and back of the works. Two, it lets you group an artist's work. This was an invited artist. And so it just helps us, again, group think. They're part of the whole exhibit, but then they're also their own within that exhibit, their own entity. And then also we stagger it in a way because we're respecting the architecture of the building, which just kind of had these wonderful diagonal lines. And then you can see it here, this kind of diagonal wall that we were working with, just to keep respect with that. And all the, actually, it's kind of but it also allowed light. So it was functional, it was form and function going here. And then we want our pedestals. If you have 3D works, you want the viewer to be able to go all the way around it. So they can have a 3D view of the work. You also want each work to have breathing space, because you don't want other works in your peripheral. You want that viewer to be able to enjoy that one work on its own, if you can. Then your labels, you really don't want like a fanciful font. You just want a nice clean font. Again, let the work be at the focus. White, clean, a neutral color, because you want that artwork to be the focus. Here we have, it's actually a black kind of wire that blended in with the black pipe and drape that we use. And then here is, so once you get the installation, we're going to talk about the installation of the work. So we receive all the boxes at Convergence at one area. We divide it up then by exhibit. We our wonderful artists label their boxes, what exhibit's supposed to be in, and then so we divide it up. Let's see. And so then we grab a box and we then process it. The artwork, the box itself is photographed. The artwork is looked at and evaluated. Then that artwork is photographed. People wear white gloves to not dirty the work. And then the artwork is identified based on info that the artist places in the box. And then once we have that information, we're able to get our artwork folders. These are object folders. And each artwork has an object folder, and these lovely ladies help with that work that desk of help giving out the folders per object. And it just helps make things easier. So each object folder, they're grouped by color. And then we have the title of the work, the artist, and what exhibit it'll be in. This is the leader exhibit. And then inside we have like a condition report. So everything for that one work is in this folder. We use this picture to put in the box so we know what box goes with what artwork when we have to deinstall the work. We use this to put our shipping labels in that the artist has provided with us. Any information is kind of kept here, and then it's returned to that the area of where the two women you saw that were filing the object folders. But here you can kind of see this woman here. She's probably got the label. She's putting it in there. This woman is starting to install it. We also state how the work is to be installed in each object folder too, just to help with streamline the process. Again, you can see them working here. Let's see. So again, I'm so sorry. So just that model is just so they know once they have the artwork where our volunteers where to put it, just to help. Most of us are visual. And you can see it starting to be installed. And then you can, again, we kind of, like I said, we group by color and size. So we try to create kind of a rhythm, small, larger, small, larger. These are kind of blues, tone. Let's see, same here. Just to give you an idea of what it looks like when we put this thought into it and all the volunteers and their hard work. So then we have to deinstall the whole thing. All of that's up for a couple of days, and then we have to deinstall it. So our helpers will go get a box, look in the box, and then they'll have the image. So then they'll know how to, once they have the image, they'll know what artwork is to go in that. These people, these helpers here include our lovely staff member, Sally, our exhibit chair. Actually, my daughter helped volunteer too, but they're getting the box ready to put this work inside of it. Just a note, if you're sending work, if you cannot loose particles, many pieces like this, usually sheets are just easier. Make sure we pack up your work a little more ideally. That's just a request. It doesn't have to happen, but just saying. And then again, the folders go back to the lovely volunteers are helping us out. And excuse me, they grab the folder, and that again, the shipping label would be in the folder. So it's just showing how we're packing up this work here. This lovely scarf goes into the box, and we put the object. We'll put the object label with it. We'll put if there's an award with it. And then it's sealed up. And then I know this was original picture of where we put the exhibits based on which exhibit is. But we also then have signs when we deinstall that say if it's going to be FedEx, USPS, or UPS. And then we take them to the various shipping companies. And then we're complete, and then we get ready for the next convergence exhibits. So that's a brief overview of the process. Thank you.
A couple things you did not point out, but if people were looking closely at the images, is that all the tables are covered with plastic to protect the artworks. We not only inspect the artworks and put that information on the inspection sheet, but we actually photograph the artworks when we open the package, and then we photograph them when we put them back in the package, so that if there was any kind of damage either before its arrival or while it's with us, it is all documented. And we do that even with small expressions too before it ships off to the gallery for the first time, because that just helps us have a better understanding of what the artwork's condition was in, because it's, a condition report is one thing where you can write those things down, but there's something about having those pictures that helps. And that's a lot of work. And you're setting this up in one day. You're setting up all those exhibits in one day and taking them all down in a handful of hours afterwards. So it's a big project, but Mandy is so organized and I have noticed a difference since she's been with us with the way our exhibits are displayed at Convergence. How much prep time do you think it takes you to prepare in advance before we even get to the conference?
And I have help here as well. I mean, oh gosh, months, weeks. We try to prep so it goes as smooth as possible at the concert in those few days that we present the exhibits and install and deinstall them. But I mean, it's months and then weeks. It gets a little more intense, and then we begin installation.
And we have to be careful when we open those boxes too, because you can't just go at them with a razor blade and cut them open because you don't know how it was packed. So you don't know how close the artwork is to the tape or to the seam of the box. So there's a lot of care that's taken into putting up those exhibits. And we're always looking for volunteers. So if you're interested in volunteering, sign up for the next one. It's a lot of work, but I find that this, out of all the volunteer areas, probably gives you the greatest sense of community. I feel like everyone gets to know each other by the end of the day. And it's also the only time you get to touch the exhibits with gloves.
Agreed. It's like, Christmas, you get to open each box. There's nothing like seeing artwork in person as well. And then the collaboration it's just wonderful.
Well, Mandy, thank you for sharing some of the behind the scenes. This is what we're doing today. This is how everyone's donations support HGA. It's supporting these programs. So continue to give. I know, we've got 20 more minutes till we get the next update. So if you can, please continue to give. Please ask others to continue to give. Mandy, thank you so much for that. I'm now going to introduce our next guest. It is our board member, Gigi Matthews. Mandy, if you can stop your screen share for me, that would be great. And Gigi, if you want to go ahead and turn on your camera, I know it's been 10 and a half hours now, so I'm sure everybody needs to stretch a little bit, especially those of you that have been with us since noon. And so you're going to share with us Counterpose Your Crafting Very Gentle Chair Yoga for posture and relaxation.
Yes, I am. I think I've been here since noon, basically. I think we can all do this. It's been just a fantastic event so far. I say this after we're coming up to 11 hours. I have thoroughly enjoyed everything that I've seen, and especially the fact that there's such a variety of fiber arts out there. But I will have to say that no matter what the fiber art is, it's all bad for the posture. Just saying that you end up in a rigid body position often, or you can end up doing a lot of hunching. So that's whether you're stitching, whether you're weaving. You can also end up with neck craning, which is where you're extending the head forward. And I have to say the head is about 10 to 12 pounds. So it is the weight of a 10-pin bowling ball. And if your neck is having to keep this head up because you've got it forward, it's a lot of stress on the neck, shoulders, and back. So I just wanted to show a couple of very simple yoga poses that you can use. You could do it, say, every hour. You could do it every 10 minutes to correct your posture, get your breathing going. And it's just a lot of preventative exercise that you can do with your fiber art so that over time you don't end up with problems. So the first thing that you can do is don't do anything except wear comfy clothes, which I think we all kind of do anyways these days now. Eyeglasses are fine if you wear them, and just have a sturdy chair, something that isn't wobbly, something maybe that doesn't have arms. So a weaving bench, a spinning stool, absolutely perfect. And if you're stitching in the comfy sofa, maybe get up and go to one of your dining room chairs, just so that you have something sturdy to sit on. And then the next thing you want to do is just notice your breath. So just pay attention. Where are you breathing into? The upper chest or into the lungs, the rib cage? Just pay attention. And what you'll find is as you notice the breath, it just kind of improves. It's like it wants to show off to you. So go ahead and notice your breath, and then maybe notice how just inhaling, just doing that alone improves your posture. And so maybe you could start to lengthen that inhale a bit And I mean lengthen it, not try to like, breathe in a lot, but just rather to sculpt the breath into something long and fine and gentle. I'm a spinner, so I think about spinning my breath into a lovely smooth yarn. Just put some intention into how you're breathing. And you can feel how the torso rises and falls. And you can feel how luxurious it is actually to breathe. It's a very luxurious thing. So now let's focus on our exhalation. So the next time that you exhale, let your body soften. So we're still doing these lovely, improved, luxurious inhales. But the next time you exhale, let your shoulders relax. And then with an exhalation, let your jaw relax. Let the hinges of the jaw release as you exhale. Let the lower jaw release from the upper jaw. Let it soften. And then you can let the arms come alongside the body. And if you notice where your wrists are in relation to the hips, that can tell you something about your posture as well. If the wrists are in front of the hips, then you know you've got some slouching going on. So let's just do a little bit of easy improvement there. Take a nice full inhale, feel the torso lift, and then you exhale. And the next time that you inhale and the torso lifts, let the shoulders follow that momentum upward, and exhale, roll them gently back and down. So you inhale, body goes upward, shoulders follow that momentum, exhale, rolling them back and down. And I like to think of the waves on the shore. So we're not trying to lift our shoulders. We're just inhaling luxuriously, and the shoulders float up. And as you exhale, they roll back like a wave. So you get this idea of the inhale, the water coming up the sand, exhale, rolling back down to join the water. And as you continue to breathe gently, fully, luxuriously, the shoulders move effortlessly with the breath. We're loosening up all of those muscles. We're releasing tension. And the next time that you roll the shoulders back, rotate the wrists so that the palms face forward, and set the shoulder blades back into the center of the back. So sometimes you need to do that a second time. Roll the shoulders back, turn the palms forward, chest will be lifted, shoulder blades are tucked into the back. Take a nice deep inhalation into the chest. Exhale, soften the shoulders down. So inhale into the chest, it will lift and broaden. Exhale, relax the shoulders down. And again, as you continue to breathe in this way, this is Tadasana, mountain pose, adapted for a chair. Exhale, release the shoulders down. As you inhale, it's like the mountain rises up to the sky. As you exhale, the mountain goes more solidly into the earth. Couple more breaths here. Enjoy. Feel the luxury of being able to breathe. And then the next time that you exhale, soften the entire body. Let it melt coming out of the pose. And we'll move on to our next one. This is a modified version of Warrior 2. So again, just sitting comfortably in the chair, bring the hands on top of the chest, and take a few slow inhales and exhales here. So you can feel how the torso really does rise up and open on that inhalation. And the next time you inhale and you feel that lift, float the hands out to wherever they go. And as you exhale, they'll come back to the top of the chest on their own. So whether you inhale and open the hands a foot or 3 feet, doesn't matter. Just let the breath take over the movement. Inhale, chest lifts, arms float out. Exhale, let them find their way back on their own. So there's no muscular movement. There's just lovely full inhalations and exhalations. And on the inhale, you have the intention of like opening out wings. And on the exhale, it's magical how the arms and hands find their way back on their own. And maybe you notice a little bit of a pause at the top of the inhale or the bottom of the exhale. There's your little point of stillness. Enjoy that second of peace in between each part of the breath. Let the head move freely. Sometimes I think of this as like when we yawn and we just go so much into that yawn, into that deep breath. And the exhale is so wonderful. That's the key to doing this pose, as if you were yawning. You really stretch everything out. And then taking your time, no rush. The next time that you exhale and the hands come back to the top of the chest, let them go down into the lap. And that's our warrior two. So our next pose is known as cat-cow, and that's, again, a very simple one. No need to be wearing any spandex or worry about if you've ever done yoga before. Very simple pose. I'll just demonstrate it. So I've got my hands on my legs, palms on the thighs. And as I inhale, I'll slide my wrists to the hips and lift the chest and chin. And as I exhale, slide the palms to the knees, chin down to the chest, rounding the back. And again, inhale, sliding the palms to the hips, lifting the chest and chin. Exhale, palms to knees, chin to chest, round the back. So go ahead and give it a try. But what you really want to do is take those luxurious inhalations and exhalations. Allow the body to completely relax and enjoy. And although we call this pose cat and cow, so cat is the exhale and cow is the inhale, the actual name for this pose is Chakravakasana, magical bird pose. So on that inhale, it's like the bird is rising up to fly, and on the exhale, the bird is gently landing. So again, take your time, a couple more breaths. And the next time that you inhale and you find yourself coming back up to center, just pause there. We've done lots of flexion and extension to the spine. We've worked the shoulders, getting all the joints oiled up, getting the circulation going, pumping our lymphatic system, which is our immune system. So with the few minutes that we've got left, do a little bit more. So we'll do bridge pose. And here I'm going to modify it a little bit. So I'm going to ask you to just widen the legs so that the knees come maybe a little bit wider than the hips if you can, or as wide as you like. Doesn't matter to me. Just make sure that your knees are above your ankles so that you have a nice tabletop leg stability there. And this wide angle is known as Konasana. And then we're going to take the back of the hands and just put them behind you. So that might be just behind the hips. It might be stacked onto your sacrum, which is that bone at the base of the spine, that triangular bone. Maybe you stack the back of the hands against the spine a little higher. Maybe you hold your forearms, maybe your elbows. Again, whatever works for you, where you feel comfortable. where you feel like you can stay in the pose. And then we're just going to, again, lovely breath into the chest. Exhale, let the hips relax into the chair. So your inhalations into the chest. Exhalation, soften the hips downwards. So you can feel the rhythm of the breath. You can feel the core muscles working, the legs are working to keep us balanced. So we're getting some exercise, but at the same time, we're counterposing any hunching, neck craning, and by keeping the body moving in this gentle wave-like rhythm of the breath, we're going against that rigid body positioning. So again, another couple of breaths. Enjoy. Take your time. And then the next time that you exhale, soften and melt the entire body. Let the hands slide down. Return them back to the front. And gently let the legs come back so that they're in the nice hip position, easy pose. To finish off, we'll just correct the posture one more time. So what you want to do is let those arms come alongside the body. Take a lovely inhale, float the shoulders up, exhale, roll them back and eventually down a couple of times. Let the breath do the work. Don't try. The less you try, the more you'll do. Just like with anything creative, let it flow. The next time that you exhale, shoulders roll back, turn the palms to face forward, chest will be lifted. Then bend your elbows, place the back of the hands on the thighs. To finish, tip the chin up a little bit as if you were looking over the top of a crowd. And then tuck the chin down a little bit to balance the head perfectly on the neck. Take a nice deep inhalation, really long exhalation. One more nice inhalation, and as you exhale, once again, relax the jaw, let the lower jaw release from the upper jaw. One more slow, full inhale, and as you exhale, soften the shoulders. And one more full inhalation, and as you exhale, soften the body into the chair. And it's as simple as that. So I'd like to finish by a couple of quotes about gratitude. So the first one comes from Cicero, the ancient Roman, and he wrote, "Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all the others." And I am certainly grateful that I can be part of this fiber art community that HGA fosters so well. My other quote of gratitude is from William Arthur Ward. I don't know who he is, I just find these quotes. But what he wrote was, "Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it." So I just want to express my gratitude to everybody that I'm on the board with at HGA, to Elizabeth and all the staff who are just the most wonderful people, who work so hard to foster this wonderful community of fiber arts. It's not just convergence, there is so much for us online, such as what we have right now with the Fiber-A-Thon. We've also got the Spinning and Weaving Week, which is next October. And don't forget about Thread Talks, which are very similar to what we've done all day today, except with Thread Talks, you actually get 15 minutes, not 10. So if you watched today and you thought, I have something I want to share, think about signing up for a Thread Talk for Spinning and Weaving Week, Registration is currently open until May 1st. We're getting ahead of the ball. So have a look at the HGA website. There's studio tours. There's all kinds of online things so that no matter where you live, there's something that you can participate in as part of our fiber arts community. And I often joke, just to finish, that we should be called, instead of Hand Weavers Guild of America, Fiber Artists of the World, because HGA is actually including members all through Canada and around the world as well. So thank you, everybody, for being part of our Fiber-A-Thon.
Thank you, Gigi, so much. You've been a wonderful support through setting up this program and encouraging people to present. I think there's a good number of our presenters who were encouraged by you. And again, I appreciate our board for this and their support behind this, because it's been fun. It's been a challenge, but it's been fun. And we always love when we can connect with our members and such. So thank you for all the work you've done. All right, now it is 11 o'clock. So it is time to get those wallets out. If you haven't donated, let's get those donations in. We've got one more hour. Let's see where we are.